Good afternoon from the Bayer Crop Science Water Utilization Learning Center. My name is Brian Olson. I'm out here with Mark Ryman, our agronomist, and we're standing out here in our disease classroom, and I wanted to talk about fungicide applications on corn. We've got corn that is tasseling, and as we look at our corn across the region, we've got a lot of late planted corn, basically maybe 2 weeks later in some places, maybe a little bit later than that in other places. But what that has caused is for our corn to be tasseling later in the growing season than what it typically would. So our corn here is probably about 2 weeks behind where we would typically think that it would be tasseling. And so what is kind of the implications of this later planted corn here, Mark?
Well, it just, really moves the season along as far as your diseases are starting to work now. In particular, diseases like southern rust are starting to move into the region. And, the further along your corn is, the less likely it is to be impacted by yield. But with our late planted corn, it's got more time after reproduction to experience the conditions that bring together, the right environment for the disease, having the pathogen there. And then potentially, if we're not concerned about it in Nebraska, maybe you've got a product that's a little more susceptible out there that you have to watch. So if you've got, all those conditions working on your late planted corn, there could be a pretty good likelihood you'll see some of those fungal diseases move into them and affect them more maybe than your corn that's further along.
So some of these diseases could include a gray leaf spot or southern rust. Southern rust typically blows in from the south every year, and so that is a concern. We definitely see it in Kansas. It's starting to pop up in Nebraska in some of the counties. Gray leaf spot comes up from the residue, and when we got continuous corn along with late planted corn, that would be a good situation with the moisture that we've had out here and the high relative humidity. That would be indicative of having some problems where we got the right environment to really call gray leaf spot to take off.
Yeah, sure. If you're out there scouting, you can get in there and take a look at it. We went around and found some lesions here to look at just to kind of exemplify, there is kind of your typical gray leaf spot. You've got a fairly rectangular lesion with edges that follow the veins of the plant, so it kind of keeps within that rectangle. And then some of the other things we're seeing out here, we aren't seeing southern rust yet, but we are seeing pretty high levels on leaves of common rust. So this has, I'd say, a little bit of a southern rust appearance where you've got the yellow halo around the lesions, but they're that dark reddish orange, really, I think that rust color that you think of, that would be common rust. If it was southern rust, you'd see the halo and things like that, but you'd see a much lighter orange type of color out there. And then you can also look at it, the common rust goes back through to the lower leaf of the plant, kind of another one of those characteristics. So we're not seeing southern rust here yet, but in scouting around, we are starting to pick up several fungal diseases that could grow in importance on our late planted corn that we have that's behind what it normally is.
So we've got a potential environment that's going to promote diseases. We've got the diseases out here. So what's going to be our big recommendation for farmers to strongly think about using?
So the big recommendation, of course, go out and scout. But then if you are seeing those diseases present, here's an application of Delaro. That's a good one because what it does is it provides a couple of chemistries, a triazole that's both a curative and preventative for your plants to keep the disease from progressing and stop it where it is. And then it also has strobilurins, which are a preventative fungicide that can work pretty long-term in the growing season to prevent diseases from advancing. So overall, a good package to go after the fungal diseases that are on your plants.
Yep, so Delaro would be that product of choice from Bayer Crop Science that we want farmers to strongly consider using when we've got an environment out here, the late planted corn, and really we've got conditions where we could have some significant disease moving in on this corn toward mid to late grain fill. So please go out there and check your corn. There is other disease out there such as Goss's wilt and bacterial leaf streak. Make sure you get it identified, the disease correctly, because again, Delaro is not going to do anything on those two diseases I just named. What it will impact or will control is going to be your gray leaf spot and your common rust and your southern rust, and then if we've got any northern corn leaf blight moving in, that would be another one. So with that, any final comments, Mark?
Yeah, it is something. I think this late planted corn, it still looks good, still looks like it has pretty good yield potential for us, so we want to protect that. And then also, you know, with the applications of fungicide, we seem to see better late season standability. Historically, I've seen my late planted corn be a little weaker at harvest time, so I think that, you know, that combination of protecting from disease, hopefully seeing better standability at harvest, and I think we've got some good yield potential, makes it something to really look at as far as a valuable opportunity for your farm.
All right, well with that, we will talk to you in the future about other agronomic topics from the Learning Center. Thank you.
Thanks for watching this video from the Gothenburg Water Utilization Learning Center. For more information, please call 308-537-4500.